Hi, Viestert.
Labdien!
Labdien! Hi, Tony.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Tony.
Hi. All right, so happy to meet.
Absolutely. It's a very interesting concept. So glad to discuss it.
Yeah, amazingly. Just a quick brief. I met Maria from Outlast Fund. So they are considering our project together with several other investors. Another one is Build It from Latvia. Maybe you know the guys. And then we are also in a negotiations with the BP Ventures and Shell Ventures. And Tony is our great advisor. We have been working with the BP for last several years. And actually, this idea about the smart helmet came from our work in ATG region. We are part of the digital twin program in Caspian Sea and involved in the digital twin creation, data processing. And Tony is basically from the BP side responsible for the digital twin program. With a really great experience in the North Sea and all over the globe, basically helping BP to administrate and build the digital twin program. And like 2 years ago, we came up with an idea, if today we are sending a team of 5 people to the offshore rig, and then they spend a month and then take away the POBs and so on, and then the data processing takes time, and sometimes, and then this bulb just lighted. I looked on the data and I was like thinking, hey, what if we take the helmet, and put the cameras in the helmet? Maybe we can distribute these helmets to to the regular workers, and the only thing they need to know is to put the helmet on the charging station after the shift, and during the day the helmet captures the panoramic reality capture data, and then we can automatically push this data to the engineering systems and digital twin systems. And when we pitched this idea to BP, we got a very great response. And then we started development, and for past 2 years we are working on this product. But for today, I think there are like several topics we could discuss.
Yep.
The topic one, in my understanding, of course, Maria wants probably your opinion on on us, because with your great experience in the industry and understanding of these digital processes. The second, of course, we are a service company, established business, and doing the laser scanning and 3D since 2012, more than 10 years in the industry. And also next month we have a pretty big pilot in Libya. And I saw the news that Total Energies signed a 25 billion deal. I think it was end of January. I don't know if or at what extent you are involved in the projects in that part of the world, but Libya looks like a very interesting place recently, because the Trump pushed basically 2 governments to come together and stop fighting, and there are big investments now being done in the region, and somehow it happened that we are also involved with the National Oil Corporation in a great projects, and we see that so our plan is that we will do the pilot project in Libya, and then we will invite all the 16 operators to come to see the pilot results. And since as well the international community is pushing Libyan National Oil Corporation to do the predictive maintenance, to let's say to level up their operations, and we see that we can provide these technologies. So if we can be also some help for Total Energies in the region, then we would be happy to maybe to connect with the right people, and so these are basically 3 topics which I see we could discuss, but I don't know how much Maria told you about the helmet idea.
So I've only seen the, I guess the information deck, which is
the pitch deck.
quite
Yes.
light.
Okay, got it.
I mean, it doesn't have really substance.
Got it.
But I understand. I mean, you guys are just passing it on, for initial interest, and then we have these type of follow-up meetings with that. Now maybe I can also just introduce myself. So I'm Jestert Rutenberg. So I'm currently the managing director for Total Energies E&P here in the Netherlands. Prior to that, I was doing mergers and acquisitions out of Paris, East Africa, West Africa, North Sea. And then obviously BP I know quite well because of our operations in Azerbaijan. As Azerbaijan for us is a Dutch parent company, so end up being on the board. But I have to say, negotiating with BP is not the easiest. But that's quite all right. And I don't know, Tony, if you just want to maybe introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah. So Tony Hunter. So I've been in BP. So I'm in partnership with Reinis. I have my own company as well, and I actually know a few people from Total have been talking about these types of things. But my background, the past 7 years, I've been in BP fixing their data. So looking at the 3D models, if they have any, looking at the laser scan data, and it was all initially about building fast and cheap twins with whatever data was available. And then once that was there, we started to pull value, then start to push for budget to do other things. So that's now 20 twins that's been delivered with everything from 3D model data, reality capture and laser scans, documents and tags, integrity data, all that sort of thing mapped into that. So really been helping BP go through that process of taking ownership of their engineering data rather than it all just residing on vendors, and fixing the contracts that are in place with these vendors and really pushing the value proposition side of it. We're the projected numbers we're looking at now is up to 10 million per asset per year. But with more definitive numbers being sort of just stopping site visits. So making sure, very much like Reinis is talking about with the helmet, it supports this type of workflow where the mindset in BP that I'm trying to push is, if you're going offshore, you're executing a task. If you're taking a camera and you want to plan for your work and you want to just measure something, run a tape measure over something, we want you to try and use the digital tools for that. And that's been a big win over the past 7 years. As I said, that's now the Gulf of America, the North Sea, and AGT with Mauritania and Senegal also in there. And actually AGT has been flying with the twins with Reinis and his company's help. We've managed to get full asset laser scan captures on all of the assets. All of the 3D data is now tied to MOC, which is a big deal. So now all that data resides in BP, and when things change, we update laser scans, we update 3D models as well as the documents to make sure that the data stays evergreen, with an eye on sort of longer term decommissioning. And you start managing this data, all the costs down the road become far smaller. Prior to that, I'd worked in various companies in the oil and gas industry, helping companies get set up. And then prior to that, I was a BIM consultant. So I was helping companies construction companies and architectural companies transition from this sort of older ways of working into this more integrated model way of working. So really been pushing and fighting the good fight in BP. As you may laugh when you say BP are difficult to negotiate. It's also difficult to negotiate when you're operating inside as a contractor. I would say it's like running through treacle, trying to get BP to move on things, but they have, and yeah, some of the regions are really flourishing for that. We've had a few knowledge share sessions with Total on this, with Arnaud Vidal and Simone Olivier. They're part of the geospatial team, so they were keen to see what BP were doing on the twin side, and actually the company that I have, I'm going into partnership with Cinto, as well as obviously with Reinis, and going into partnership with Cinto, a tool that Total pay for. And the intention was that late last year that I was going to go to Paris and spend some time doing similarly to what I did in BP, going in to assess that data, just get a high level understanding of what things are in place or not in place, and then give some advice on sort of next steps, what can be done. with the potential of talking about sort of full twin deployments. As I say, I'm not sure the tools that Total are using now, but I know at the time last year it was mostly Cinto that was being utilised for sort of reality and sort of twin-centric work. But nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, I mean, so on our side, digital twin is now required for all new assets going forward, as well as most of our large existing assets, so brownfield projects. Assets like the Netherlands, which are at the end of life, have been exempt from having to put that in place. So I absolutely see, the value associated with it, but there's obviously a lot of competitors though that are out there in terms of the data quality cleanup and making sure that the digital twins are reflective of reality. And that's one of the things, maybe just to start out with, is where do you guys see yourself in terms of the marketplace? There's companies like Cognite and Aspen Tech, which all the majors utilize for these type of aspects, but that's more on the data side. You guys, I see as being a bit more of a hardware type of play, but I know that you're mentioning that there is this interpretation software that also comes with it. But when you're doing laser scans and interpreting, that data from laser scans, I mean, that already somewhat exists. I mean, of course, a laser scan is much more cumbersome as compared to just having a visual helmet. So, I mean, tell me how you guys see what makes it really a differentiation. Just to let you know, during COVID, we started putting our operators with ATEX cameras because obviously our inspectors weren't able to go offshore. And, we were doing live streamings, to do all the inspections during that period. So, that's one of the steps that we've been going forward and also in our digitalization. And now we're deploying, autonomous drones, for inspection works because, one of our big areas of focus is to eliminate, human interaction, for a safety purpose. Within our platforms. So, so what do you guys think? I know there's a bunch of questions in there.
No, it's all good.
I see like several vectors. The vector number one is very simple: the digital twin update, and I think it's understandable. Then we started to think, hey, if we can get data from today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it means we can start comparing this data. It means we can start doing a change detection. And meanwhile, today AI allows us to do automatic anomaly detection. So basically the visual asset integrity data can be acquired continuously. So what we can do, we can take the digital twin data that we have acquired, and we can run it through the AI processing, automatically detecting anomalies and changes in these anomalies. And the third division is productivity. I met ADNOC a couple months ago, and basically their main task is to how we can make faster and more accurate decisions. And here comes also another use case, very similar to other industries. I met one German company, 45,000 employees, and they said, hey, Reinis, we want a helmet. I said, why do you need helmet? And they said, look, we have 45,000 employees and we don't know where they are and what they do. I was like, oh, that's genius. I mean, like, that's simple. And then another company, 15,000 employees, they said they're lifting material from one place to another, and they can weight that material, but they don't know what type of material it is. I said, would you be like willing to pay for that KPI? And they said, yes, definitely. If we can equip our employees with the helmets, with the cameras, then we are definitely going to pay for these KPIs. So there are like many ways how we can utilize and bring value through the reality capture from the front first point of view. And also the big strategic vision is we see that, well, if we can capture how they work, it means we can start creating data sets to train robots to perform human tasks. And here now is the big gap, because the robotics companies, these robots are clumsy. They like do mistakes, and then they try to learn from own mistakes, and they cannot be deployed because they are not ready yet, and they cannot be ready because there's this gap. And then we see that we can actually fill that gap if we can deploy these helmets and capture a structured data of how like certain tasks are being performed. Then we can create these data sets and help robotic companies to achieve the real work task completion. That's the vision we see. And next week I'm now in Germany, and next week I'll be going to Hannover Messe. It's one of the biggest trade shows in Germany, industrial trade shows. So I am pretty sure we will bring more use cases in for industrial use.
Just to add on, sorry, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just going to say, Reinis, would you mind if I sort of said about like sort of my side of things just briefly as well? So what Reinis is doing is amazing, and it needs to happen, and there needs to be more companies that are forward thinking like this, and it's one of the reasons why I want to partner with Reinis, because I've seen firsthand the work that goes on in AGT and what the support there. But my companies, I'm not going to say more straightforward. It's not like that at all. I'm not meaning that in a negative way with Reinis at all. But all I'm providing, I'm not going to be carrying out. So my company won't be carrying out surveys, won't be doing laser scanning, won't be doing these things. But my company will be filled with people who are experts, subject matter experts in these fields. So right now in BP, for example, I'm looking at setting up, in the process of setting up technical authorities in every region, 3D model expert, survey and reality capture expert, but those people will also be well versed in all things twin. So this is all about going into a site, an asset, and say, right, where's your documents? Where's that stored? Looking at where all the data is. If it's there, is it with vendors? Assessing where all that is. Creating a plan of attack in terms of, okay, you've got gaps in these areas. This is what you need to do. This is where Reinis and his company comes in. It would be like, we need laser scans in these areas. We need a control network established. We need to set these things up. And the whole purpose of sort of my company, Interliminal, is about making sure that Total or whoever the client is, that their interests are met. That when a vendor says they need to go offshore to do something, is that true? And to question and challenge that, as well as making sure that if the contracts and deliverables that vendors are providing, are they at the standard that is going to be for long-term use for the client, not just for the project scans being done one at a time at a great cost. That's one of the big costs that I've noticed in BP, is either planning activities or people going off because vendors will say if they don't go offshore, the sky will fall and there's going to be all these problems. And so the intention is to sort of have these people come in, assess the data, support and enable the sort of improvements to that data, and then longer term act as the technical authority data managers for those data sets longer term. And then working with, like I do with BP and Reinis, going in and saying, right, smart helmets, what other things can we be looking at? We've fixed the engineering data, we've got that foundational level done. What else can we be doing? And that's where Reinis is talking about the capabilities of using either photogrammetry or the smart helmet or this type of technology to actually put into tools that can find any anomalies or issues. Not to stop GVIs and inspection work, but to support, so that making sure sites are prepared, all these little things like collecting value, assessing requirements, all those types of things. So really breaking down everything, so that sort of the people, process and data side of it, and then helping support picking the right technologies, picking the right softwares, any type of things that are, and if there's things that you may think you need, and then breaking down to say, well, there's alternatives. You don't have to always go and spend millions on creating a new 3D model, for example. There's things you can do to go on a path that is logical, that is going to be cost saving whilst also providing value, building up that sort of requirements. I always say that we've got levels to the data, with a lot of these things in the sort of 3D data space, and they all provide functionality and they all provide cost avoidance and support. And it's about making sure that you sort of navigate that properly rather than just, which BP did at one point, which was spending a lot of money on the tools and then realizing quite quickly that their data was nowhere near suitable for it. So all that type of thing. Sorry, Reinis.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that last year we signed a contract as well with the Wood Group, and now we are involved in several projects in Middle East, in Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, and Saudi, and the same problems. The Qatar Energy, the same problems. They have the gaps in data. Sometimes they have not done the proper version control, and basically the reality capture, solve these gaps, and the first layer of data is reality capture, and that's where we see we come in and bring a big value. I also talked with the Chevron and Repsol. All of they all said they have the same problem. They have the digital twin, then it's fine at certain levels. Some have like the full digital twins, have some less data, but all of them recognize that this is a problem to constantly update the data, that you can trust it. And we see that the helmet is, at least, maybe we cannot cover all the gaps, we cannot cover like all the asset, but at least 80 to 90% of the asset we can bring in and provide very, very fresh and updated data. So that's the idea.
No, I mean, we have a common saying, we're data rich, information poor. Because of one of the challenges is that every single platform, every single FPSO has been designed with separate engineering teams, so they have their separate nomenclature that they utilize for tagging and ensuring that the information is right for their asset, but then it doesn't. There's no cross functionality across the rest of the portfolio. And that's where Aspen Tech and I think Cognite have come into play. So you guys see yourselves as complementary to that, or
definitely
competitor? 100%. I mean, it's about existing inside those things. So it's about making sure, certainly from my side, it's about holding companies accountable. So what is it that you're delivering, and ensuring that that's delivered first and foremost, because more often than not, and that's why a lot of BP's models were in such disrepair, was the miscommunication between BP and their vendors globally. And it's not just BP. I've noticed that, as Reinis has said, it's everywhere. And all of these, whether it's the sort of the consultancy aspect of this and assessing and sort of advising on what to do with the data and what you can get with budgets available. Then there's the next aspect of this, which is the technology, which again complements what Reus is talking about, which complements the work that you're doing with Cognite to make sure that, okay, what other data sets can we get in there? What other things can we use to be a value add on top of that?
Mm-hmm. And what differentiates the helmet from a competitor? I mean, what's your moat?
Yeah, so there's actually one very interesting technology inside the helmet that no one else has. I don't know, Tony, do you think it's like appropriate if I open a Cinto quickly?
Well, no, I mean, you can just tell me that you have intellectual property rights to certain technology.
So probably not, since it's a sensitive data. But okay, the general idea is that let's say you capture the panoramic picture or you record the video. Now the question is, how do you show that in the user interface? Normally, when you go with the laser scanning, you have established a network, and then you put that data on the coordinates. Now the helmet just takes the picture; it doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know the coordinate. So what we have done, we have developed absolutely unique positioning system that doesn't require GPS, which you don't have on the oil rig. It doesn't require a Wi-Fi triangulation, which again, you cannot rely on existing infrastructure. And it doesn't require markers, because markers, it's very, very difficult to maintain in the asset unless you're not in the clean DHL warehouse. So what we have done, we created an algorithm that takes previous data, takes a laser scan data, cuts it into pieces, then takes like a fingerprint from every single of these potential positions and creates like a very small key. Then we store this key inside the helmet's chip. And even without internet access, every time when helmet takes a picture, it creates the same key and compares it with the internal database. So what happens, within half of the second, the helmet picture gets the coordinate without GPS, without anything. And this is something super, super unique, and it can be used in many ways, also for the robots to position themselves in the environment. And this technology doesn't exist. At least I have not seen any solution in the market with that kind of positioning system, and that is very, very unique. And it's super crucial because even if you go on the site and you take pictures, the question is how do you place them in user interface? How do you look at the data if you don't have the GPS coordinate? And we have solved this problem. And we 2 weeks ago we got our first patent, and there will be several patents more coming out.
Okay, so if you develop this technology, then I guess Amazon has been very much focused on this, and I had a chance to visit one of their warehouses, and it's quite amazing that they'll be moving to full autonomy soon, and part of it is identifying obviously the locations that they are within the warehouse itself. But I guess that's a different type of technology that they have, where they've gone ahead and put in, I guess
they are placing markers on the wall.
Yeah, they're putting to be able to identify.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of interest also then, from a safety standpoint, the helmets is obviously meant for safety purposes. If you end up having all of a sudden technology, including a battery on your head, and you end up having a load hit that helmet,
totally
how do you guys have all the safety certificates associated with the helmets?
Yeah, not yet, but it's totally fine. We have found some other helmets in the market. Actually, one helmet in the market, even with the ATEX certificate. So it has been done, and at the moment, our first milestone is to get the certification through. It's not going to be ATEX certified yet by end of the year. So, but it's in the roadmap. So I hope we get the ATEX certified. I think like 12 to maximum 18 months from now, we will be fully ATEX certified.
I mean, that you can't go out into a operating location without ATEX.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the site. Yeah, let's say.
Well, I mean, I would hope any good, prudent oil and gas operator would not allow your helmet to be there without ATEX.
Sure. So the question is, do we have the product which meets all the requirements? And then the question is, do we have the certificate itself? So it just takes a little bit time, but we know how to build it. We have investigated this topic very deeply. It's just we just need to go through the process, and that's it. And but for clients like the manufacturing areas where they need
they don't require that.
They don't require that level. So, but yeah, that's of course.
It's a good point to raise, though. I mean, obviously, like with laser scanners and certain types of equipment, hot work spark potential permits are the norm for this type of equipment. But it's a valid point to make because it's obviously head mounted. It adds a different sort of layer. So it's a good question to ask. And yeah, it's I
mean, you see the pictures on YouTube. Laptop falls out of a guy's computer, bag, on a plane, and the battery all of a sudden starts, flaming up. So that's something that you need to absolutely address, because we can't be putting, especially near the head, something like that. That's at risk.
So there are ATEX certificate helmets in the market already. So I was concerned when we started to develop this product, are we actually going to reach that level? But then we found some products that are already ATEX certified, and then of course we that gave us the hope that if someone else already has done it, then it's just a matter of nuances, and we will do it.
All right, but your differentiator, what I understand, is just geospatial software, because anybody can slap a camera onto a helmet.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Actually, well, in general, we don't care. We could also put the GoPro on top of the helmet, right? But my philosophy, and actually that was some kind of feedback when I presented this product to different type of companies, was if we go to the client with saying, hey, now the workers will put the GoPro on top of the head, no one is going to wear it. Yeah. So the design should be so light and so that everyone wants to use it. So this is the core, and that's why our the industrial design team is working very, very hard to get to the point when everyone wants to wear it. That this is not some big, heavy piece of.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I think the aspect of what John Ivey designs isn't necessarily the important thing for the oil and gas industry. I can tell you, it needs to be practical. It needs to be functional, and it obviously needs to protect the individual first.
Yeah.
Before you're able to utilize it for these additional purposes. Out of interest, when you're talking about on the manufacturing side, so obviously, Amazon is the king in terms of establishing, the supply chain management. And I think that's one of the aspects that you had mentioned, that German company that, doesn't know what their product is. Is it just integrating your images into whatever their supply chain system is with the use of AI to be able to identify, the barcodes and, do that type of analysis? I'm trying to find what is the true niche that makes you guys as a differentiator.
Yeah, so I
like why doesn't that German company just tell the guys, all right, scan the barcode and make sure it's within our supply chain system?
This is not only about the barcode. It is it is about management. So there is a book, probably the Stephen Covey. He has this book, Seven Habits of Successful People.
Yeah.
But he has another book called Four Disciplines of Implementation, and what he is telling in his research is, if you have a low performing organization and you want to increase the performance of the organization, then basically the first thing you should do is you put the KPIs on the dashboard where everyone can see them. Once you put the KPIs of every employee on the dashboard and they can see it, you automatically increase the organization's performance.
So Bayer room. So
so
I understand that.
So today we have an AI that can basically do the log every single action what you do. You stand up, you walk, you open the garage doors. Every single action we can log. And if we can log every single action of what the employee is doing, we can give you the productivity report after every shift.
Yeah, that's what Amazon does, but they call it gamification.
Yes.
Because I challenged the Amazon guy. I'm like, you guys use that for assessment purposes. He's like, no, they like it. It's a game. I'm like, yeah.
So this is really one thing that brings value and that you can actually see in the data, and even not talking about like the digital twin, right? So I think that the results from ATG was like 74% reduction of site visits, and I think where it said like 7 to 8 million savings per one asset just by having these data, right? So with
that, bit of a problem in Europe is GDPR. Have you guys looked into that? If you're tracking employees' actions and activities and etc.
Yeah, of course. Like it's super simple. Of course, we blur the faces. We don't film when they go to the toilet or the changing room. We just switch off, and it's no different than if you have the camera in your production line. You have a camera in the corner. which is already filming the people, how they work and what they do.
Okay.
It's the same thing, just the camera is on top of the head. That's it.
How do you ensure that these get turned off?
There's like a sensor, like the green and red. So when it's red, they know that it's not working. When it's green, it shows.
No, but you say, let's say you have a employee that decides, they're going to take it into the restroom. I mean, how do you make sure that, your helmet doesn't?
Okay, got it. Yeah, there are basically, since we know where we are, it's like with your robot cleaner in the house, you can make the zone. Yeah, you make the zones where it just doesn't work, and that's it.
Okay. What's your pipeline? You mentioned Libya, but what else do you guys have?
So our plan is we will go to do the pilot in Sangachal terminal in Baku. I think 2 months from now. That's already scheduled. Then of course the Libya. Then once we have like these pilots done, then I have agreement with ADNOC and ENOC. Then we will see what we can do with through the Wood Group in the Middle East, and of course we also see the big potential in a manufacturing sites like these German companies I mentioned, and I see because we can do pilots in oil and gas with certain clients, not with all of them, because they will require ATEX certification. But yes. with those clients who doesn't require ATEX certification, we can do the pilots. Once we have the certificate, we are already ready to do the sales. Meanwhile, for other industrial clients who doesn't require ATEX certificate, we can start with the pilots and sales immediately. So
do you have any lined up, or?
Yeah, I have these 2 German companies, and we are just getting ready with the version number 2. We developed a fully functional prototype, and it has been also tested in Sangachal terminal, but it was like heavy, etc. So now we are working on design like this. It's almost done, and once we have the first 100 helmets ready, we will just deploy them to the pilots and start with this.
Okay. One thing, just from a design standpoint, make sure you have the ability to have the chin strap.
Yes.
Many of us have requirements that the helmet has to have a chin strap.
Yeah, or even a zero hood, potentially connect a zero hood or something like that. Yeah, good point.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think the big aspect is getting the ATEX certification, to begin with. So I ran this by our some of our team members, and we would be interested to obviously do a pilot also, but it depends upon having the ATEX certification in place. So once you have that in place, I think absolutely you can contact me then, or if you already have your contacts within Total Energies, then we can try to see if it works on one of the digital twins. To be able to capture it versus the laser as a comparison purpose. But you say that's about a year and a half out for that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And how's all right, you captured all the images. I guess there isn't too much of an issue any longer these days in terms of converting the images to who's ever bespoke or off the shelf data software that they're utilizing, right?
Yeah, it's basically every of these enterprise softwares, they have the API. We can pull that data to Sinto. We can basically anything that client wants. I don't see there are any obstacles. We can
There's technologies. There is technology out. It's something that I'm doing on my side. Is creating Gaussian splats from this type of data that Reinis is talking about. So obviously we talked about levels of the data earlier. You've got your terrestrial laser scanners, which can capture incredibly high accuracy, high quality data. but you've also got your photogrammetry, your mobile capture, these types of things. So you're right in what you're saying. These days, there's a lot of softwares out there that can process any range of laser scan data. And BP, for example, you have to just be careful with formatting, because a lot of these companies, for as great as they all are, they love to add their own little proprietary flair to things to make it difficult to use elsewhere, which is why I've always, in BP, created a governance and standard for 3D data in there. In which, for laser scans, for example, it's E57. It's the only universal format that exists. That's what it has to be, and all vendors globally have to deliver the scans in that manner. And that means that any vendor needs the scan data, because again, we're stopping survey trips and things like that in BP, saying, right, use this data. They can download E57, and any tool can ingest E57. So it's working in those types of ways to sort of level the playing field. So you're creating a meritocracy rather than sort of pushing that, rather than pushing sort of you have to go down one way. But and this is the thing, we've got refineries and sites that I speak to where they have no data, they have no models, they have no laser scans, or they have a sporadic set of project captured laser scans that are all a lot of this historical scan data that is captured is always prior to a change, so that to aid their design and constructability reviews. And what ends up happening is that this data becomes immediately out of date, which is great for the vendor, right? Because it means that they're constantly going to have to go out and capture anything. So what I've done in BP is completely flip that script to say, right, we do one big asset capture, you establish a control network, that becomes BP's data set, and then you do surveys, you share that data out like you would the models and everything else to say, okay, you need to do this job, here's the data, lead times and everything are reduced, and then you, at the end of it, you then say, right, okay, we need to update that. So you're updating the model, you're doing updated laser scans and captures, you're updating your documents, everything all ties to MOC properly, which is a huge thing, because I mean, we looked at when I first started assessing the data in BP, there was none of that. All BP, I don't know if it's the same for Total, but all BP really ever see or have historically seen is a marked up or a revved up P&ID. They didn't
it's an absolute relevant issue. I mean, we were doing a decommissioning, and the P&IDs and the engineering documentation failed to reflect 1,000-ton add-on that was done in the early 90s. So then obviously that becomes a surprise to everybody, and that's even at post doing a laser scan prior to the decommissioning. That just wasn't captured. Now, because at the heart of the day, I mean, this is not the core of our business. I mean, our business is producing hydrocarbons.
Exactly.
So everybody looks at this as just being an awful nuisance.
Yes. Well, it is when it's not good, right?
Action for this to actually see the value.
And the problem in the industry, and I've spoken at events on these things quite a lot, and it's something, I mean, it's the reason why Synto and A's are going into partnership with me on this, because they recognize that their tools aren't being implemented as well as they could. They realize that data, quite often, we've all been there, right? I don't use Apple because I had one Apple phone, I hated it, and I've never went back to that type of thing. And it's very, very easy to lose trust in these things, especially when you're trying to align things like engineering data. So it's really, and the problem is that the contracts and processes and everything is in place almost act against digital ways of working. Well, it's not almost about it. It does. It counteracts what you're trying to do digitally. And there's a whole host of reasons for that. But just getting your engineering data integrity aligned as a starting point. Obviously, I have to lead with value, and that's what I always have led in BP. And for that work, it's always value leading. But like the right thing to be focusing on is engineering data integrity and making sure that leads to risk reduction, and will also lead to significant value, cost avoidance, PO cost reduction. I've got sort of huge savings sort of from BP and all the North Sea, AGT and Gulf of America regions for that very reason. And it's hard because you want to try and it's always good because it's about assessing what's there. And this is why I sort of see the gap, because Synto and A's recognize it, other companies and operators are recognizing it, where they want to do something. The trust in vendors has eroded over time because they see the state of the data. A lot of the times operators say, abdicate responsibility, say, here's a huge bucket of money, look after our engineering data. And then what's happening is that vendors have not played dumb, but at the same time, it's hard not to sort of say there's this type of thing, because you see the models, they know they could be cleaning up the models, cleaning up the digital work site, as I always say, very much like you would clean up your work site out offshore, and making sure these things, logical, straightforward things that should be in place, simply aren't. And it's about holding those companies to task a little bit more, making sure that these contracts are actually reflective of what Total or BP or whoever actually needs, making sure you're not overpaying for things, all of that type of thing. And that's a real sort of passion of mine, and it's why I've created the companies, to go around, help improve the data, help improve the use and functionality of the digital tools that are being invested in, and then helping to support the management and upskilling of internal teams and things like that into a place where opening up a twin isn't a chore. It's actually something that's the first thing they open up. They go into it. I mean, even in BP, the biggest gripe I heard from people was that the document management system, finding the right documents, was the most difficult thing. And through the process of cleaning up the documents and tags in the document management system, duplicate tags, duplicate documents, all these things that are in all of these systems, same with the models, same with the reality capture data, getting those 3 data sets aligned just completely changes the experience for users and the tools.
Yeah, no, I always say that our industry missed a massive opportunity that the likes of Google took over, because we actually should have been masters of data that we can sold to others. But
I joke with people.
That's what's
I joke with people when I left the construction industry, because they have to use technology. There's no, the margins are so tight in the construction industry that it's insane how much technology there is. And I always joke to say when I moved into oil and gas from construction, I was really excited, because I was looking for, well, the money in oil and gas, they must have cutting edge everything. And then you get out and you're like, okay, they've got a way to go. I mean, the BIM industry itself, you can see the disparity between the industries in terms of how mature it is in the construction industry to have one integrated 3D model with reality capture surrounding it, and not actually very few, if any, documents. It's all coming from this dynamic 3D model. And that's really where oil and gas should be. The industry as a whole should be striving to go towards. But I think sometimes there's traps that they fall into, like intelligent P&IDs and these types of things, where, yes, it's great to have intelligent P&IDs, but the work and effort that goes into that now, that would have been great 10 years ago. Now that ship has almost sailed. You can still do that, and there's easy ways to do that these days.
But you need to advance with the new technology.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't just jump, right? We can't just, exactly.
It's like everybody in Africa thinking that they're going to go from no phones to landlines and then to mobiles, but they jump straight to mobile. So
exactly.
Just on that point, what prevents every platform just having one helmet and telling a guy to do a walk around? Where do you guys see it evolving further? Because if you have one camera to do the laser scan, you have one guy wearing the helmet, and that's all you need to do a walk around once every single month to make sure that the data is integrity. How do you get the volume in place, other than what you say in the manufacturing plants where they don't know what their 15,000 employees are doing?
No, they're like, of course, you're absolutely right. We should test like how many helmets you need to deploy that takes care of digital twin data. Then probably you don't need everyone wearing the helmets for digital twin data. But if you want to have these productivity reports, then you must have everyone wearing them. And this is just about like, hey, like a models. There is a helmet, and then what do we want to do with the data? Do you want a digital twin? Okay, there it is. Do you want an asset integrity management? There it is. Do you want the productivity reports? There it is. But that requires different number of the helmets being on the asset. And I started to.
So you'd have different sensors in place, like the asset integrity one. I mean, how do you envision that? Because that's an interesting topic.
Okay, so let me show you one example of. Okay, so we are now integrating with this solution called Twin City. an amazing tool. So basically what it allows you to do is
that a partner with you guys, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have, let's say you have your, basically how it works, it takes, it can work in 3D environment, and it can work also in the 2D environment. So basically what it does, when you have pictures and mesh model, the mesh model is just for the visualization of the result. But what it does, once you have all the pictures, you press one button and AI automatically recognizes all the anomalies, like rust, cracks, leaks, whatever you want to see, and then it gives you the all the pictures that from which you can see these anomalies. And
all right, so it's utilizing an AI platform on
yes,
top of picture recognition. So it's no different than what they're doing with drones with inspections.
Yeah, it's this.
Yes.
It's similar. It's a similar thing. Except this can be used with any type of camera technology. So it's what you're looking at there is a Gaussian splat. This is the thing I was talking about earlier. Is that, I mean, even Cinto now have released a camera that allows for fast capture. Not the same as what's been trying to be done here with this smart helmet, but the ability to create these sort of photorealistic meshes with georeferenced perspective images of all this. So like when a drone flies around, and this is where you take, okay, you want a drone point cloud or do you want a drone photorealistic mesh? And for me, I've always seen two workflows with this. It's always been, you've got your terrestrial laser scans, you've got these are tied to MOC, they're engineering grade. These are what's going to stop site visits and support engineering vendors, etc. That frequency tied to MOC is not good enough for integrity. And certainly from the discussions I was having at BP, it's just not frequent enough for them to do that. And this is where something like the smart helmet and other types of reality capture technology, where you have a more reactive process. Now, we're not suggesting here that this takes over integrity management, the integrity management tools and processes that are in place. The way I see this, and these things will improve, but where I see this is a way to, if someone's going out to do a GVI and they're going out to do a general visual inspection, wouldn't it be great if they had something like this to get started with? And so when they are going out there, they have a more targeted approach, and they're actually more efficient with their time when they're out there. And we've found that doing these types of processes, BP are piloting Abyss, for example, but Abyss are eye-wateringly expensive, and there isn't really a competitor in the market. And this has really been the first time, personally speaking, that I've seen anything that comes close to challenging the type of service and offering that companies like Abyss provide.
And
so Twin City is the proprietary AI that's
they don't create the meshes. So this is the path I was talking about, where we could say the process would be going around with the smart helmet and capturing this data, using that data, where I would turn that into a photo, this Gaussian splat, this photorealistic mesh that then can be put into this tool alongside those the actual images, and then generate that report.
I mean, that's very, very useful.
Yeah, and then basically you just pressed another button, the second button, and it generates you the full report with all the anomalies found, and it's like super easy, super quick, and we see that. And from the helmet, soon there will be also a change detection report. So you have one data set 2 months ago, then you have a data set from today, and it will give you the automatic change detection. What
erosion growth, things like that.
No, I mean, just out of recommendation, I would put this as also a key part of your pitch. Not just digital twin, the inspection and maintenance, and especially if you guys have with Twin City, if you guys have an exclusivity, to be able to reflect that you're able to sell this type of package, because that's truly valuable. But again,
it's always like the challenge, how you keep the pitch deck like clean and simple, and like how much.
But I think you decide to discuss it with who. I mean, if you're talking with the manufacturing companies, it's one thing. If you're talking to oil and gas, it's entirely something different. But again, I say that you need to be able to say that it's ATEX as well as whatever other ISO certificates. So, I would just look at, what are the companies that currently are able to sell helmets to oil and gas companies, and make sure that you guys have the same certificates in place, or at least you guys are on a path to have that in place.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah, that's
okay.
good advice.
No, it's very, very interesting, that aspect, if you're able to incorporate that in place. But I guess any type of software that's able to do the AI imaging, because I think there's probably 100 different competitors trying to do that right now, right?
It's like coming up like a mushrooms. Every day something new comes up. The NVIDIA just announced the chip that can automatically annotate whatever they see, and before that was like a manual work, and now you can do it automatically. So it's so crazy things that goes on.
Even the point is that I'm an iPhone fan, so I'm an Apple fan. No offense on that, but I mean, he created this, but he created it based upon aggregating different types of technology and putting into one. So that's why, I highlight, if you guys have these all-in packages that you're able to go ahead and demonstrate, and you're not just a hardware play, then that becomes a totally different picture as compared to just saying, hey, I have a really cool helmet that has cameras built in.
Totally agree with you. It's just,
what about, have you guys thought about, or have you looked at, what other potential sensors can be put into place? Like, gas sensors.
That's
yes, there are several ideas. One of ideas, of course, it's the methane detector that can be already integrated. Another idea was that, well, actually, there will come in the next version. Range detector in the infrared the diapason, so we have a stereo camera and range finder.
Okay.
So we have a depth, and then we can create a much more accurate model.
Apologies, sorry for interrupting. Apologies, gentlemen. I have another call. I need to speak on something else. Nice to meet you as well.
Cheers.
Speak soon. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so another thing was that today, okay, there is like some crazy ideas like AI agents, right? Let's say you're a supervisor, and today the technology allows you to have an AI agent on the helmet, so you can easily ask any questions you want, like how many people I have still on the sector 2, like what's my task for today, like basically having your personal assistant in the helmet. You can have the technology that can stream whatever you do. So you basically can go in the user interface and click on every single employee and see what he's doing. Or
so we're actually doing that with an ATEX watch as a R&D right now. So to be able to track obviously individuals, but also get real-time access and real-time connectivity. So essentially replacing their radios, but also they carry these ATEX power iPads to be able to get all the technical documentation. So the idea for you guys is to try to establish a like you say, an agent in place to be able to assist.
Yeah, well, another thing is we are working on the mesh network, so the helmets can be connected to each other and receive tasks. Especially in the places where, let's say, you don't have a coverage, and the mesh, it also helps with the geolocation. So it will even increase our capabilities of positioning. So then you can actually even see like a big picture. I mean, there are so many things you can do. As once you have, the processing power here, once you have the sensors here, there are so many things we can do. Of course, we want to, let's say, I have seen that, for example, the smart glasses, right?
Yeah.
BP bought, I don't know, 12 of these smart glasses. No one is using them. I mean, it sounds cool. It sounds like, wow, you can wear the glasses and then you can see the augmented reality and stuff like that. But reality is that no one is using them. There might be a question why, but sometimes some technologies sounds exciting, but they're not practical. So what we want to do, we want to like go in the field, start testing, having the feedback from the client, and then ask the questions. Hey, what else? Where else do you see the value? Okay, we can test something, and then we can see if it really reflects on the value we thought we are going to bring.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just revising the product to be able to fit the customer's needs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your next steps? I mean, I understand you're looking for 10 million. What do you plan to do with this 10?
No, we're looking for 2 million at 10 million valuation.
2 million at a 10 million valuation. Okay.
So basically, what we there was one European project we submitted for the grants to do the mesh network and the ATEX certification. We didn't get it, but we have 2 other grants, about 400,000 to develop industrial design for the certification. In general, the round and the money how we are going to spend and use it are in several ways. The first a part of it goes for the development and ATEX, and then we want to start sales now, and we need to do pilots, a lot of pilots, because the sales cycle normally is you don't go.
You have to do proof of concept. So
yeah, so you don't sell to BP or to anyone else directly the product. You do the pilot first. And the pilot takes time, and then even if you get approval, the budgeting sometimes also takes time. So what we want to do, we want to start pilots now as soon as possible with as many clients we can. So once we have the ATEX certificate, then we can just jump on the sales. So that's the plan.
Okay.
And we are structured in the way that this is the C Corp Delaware as a mother company in US. And then we are in the middle of the process to open a daughter company 100% owned by the Delaware company in Europe, because the BP, they can invest only in Delaware, and then the European investors will come in the daughter company, and then we shift the obligations to the mother company. That's like the legal plan.
Okay. So you guys actually, I mean, you have BP signed up as an angel investor? And you had mentioned Shell as the other.
Yeah, once we are ready with this restructuring, then we go to the BP committee. But basically, the way they operate is that they don't search for deals. They basically get the recommendations from the departments, and we have done like the great job during the last year. Discussing with all the related departments, and basically in the departments support this project. So once we are done with the restructuring, we are going to the investment committee of the BP Ventures, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to go through.
How much are you seeking from them? Can you say, or
sorry?
Out of the 2 million, what percentage are you seeking from them?
Yeah, so there are like 500,000 tickets. 500 comes from Build It, 500 from BP, 500 from Shell, and then there's like 500,000 left that we want to close from one more investor. Ideally, connected to the industry, ideally with the network, so we can not just take the money, but also somehow use the network and open some doors, maybe.
Okay. Well, Outlast is connected to the industry, so
yeah. Up here.
Ne, jag lab dig. Det står också så det tiešām interesants projekts, kas tev ir sastādīts. Es tiešām domāju, ja tu sastādi, ka tev ir tās, kā saka, partnerships, lai uztaisīt, ka tev ir the full package. Yeah, this must have been, the exclusive partnering, like darīto optionality was the exclusive partnerships, like is the visās pārējās lietas, kā tā corrosion, image, un tās lietas, tas uztaisīs pilnīgi citu situāciju. Es domāju, drusku jāpadomā, kā, es nezinu manufacturing, pietiekoši labi pie supply chain, pie kā tu var pieslēgties, lai dabūtu kaut kādu, the ID scanning, vai tev ir jādara, legacy systems like, SAP ERP, tie-in to their barcoding system that's already in place. Mēs sastrādājamies, mēs darām vienu pilot ar Amazon pašlaik, lai sastādītu mūsu supply chain, jo they're experts in that. So tu zini tas, ko mēs pašlaik tur skatāmies, bet es domāju, kaut kas, ko padomāt par kā tu vari attīstīt tālāk, bet, protams, es zinu, pirmā lieta ir dabūt to projektu nokārtot, lai tev ir tie pilots successful, un tad var būvēt. Bet vismaz, lai tev ir drusiņ, what are the next steps and visions?
Jā, lai bišķiņu uzkrāts, ka mēs vienkārši tur pliki ideja ejam, bet kad jau ir pilotu projekta rezultātiem, un tā tālāk. Jā, tā ir, jā. Te ir tāds, es gribēju to bildi parādīt, kad, idejiski tas šobrīd tas digital twins izstāsta apmēram tā, ka ir modelis, kurš ir savienots ar maintenance backlogu, un tad maintenance backlogs ir savienots atpakaļ ar modeli, un tad visi dokumenti, tur PNIDs, isometrics, viņi ir šeit pieejami. Previous maintenance reports un fabrication drawings, un, principā viss, kas ir saistīts ar konkrēto. Un tad ir klāt nāk tas reality capture data, kas nāk no laserskanerā. Un tad šeit ir modelis, un tad te ir reality capture data. Un tā man doma, kur radās tā ideja, bija, ka, hei, ar laseru viss ir noskanēts, mums ir izmēri, bet tas apakšnieks, kurš grib tikt uz to asetu, viņš jau vienmēr kaut kā kaulēsies. Ja? Viņš saka, bet tev tā bildi ir uzņēmta tur pusgadu atpakaļ.
Ar šo lenči.
Jā, un tad, ja mēs ar ķieveru vienkārši katru dienu updateojam šīs panorāmas, tad viņš īsti nevar piekasīties. Ja? Un tas use case, viņš tiešām ir ļoti labs, jo BP varēja 74% samazināt site visitus, attiecīgi maintenance cikls paliek ātrāks, un budžetā, tas ir fiziski redzams bilancē budžetā, ka tie kosti iet uz leju. Ja? Un tikai par to vien jau BP ir gatavs maksāt, tāpēc, ka mēs viņam tā vai citādi ietaupam to naudu. Ja? Tur iegūmus ir vienkārši acīm redzams. Ja? Un tad, protams,
bet tas ir caur atsevišķu kompāniju, kas tev ir?
Nē, tas stāsts ir tāds, 3D engineering, kas sniedz šos digital twin pakalpojumus.
Jā.
Un tad HelmX, protams, mēs viņu sākumā attīstījām no 3D engineering, jo tur Eiropas granti un iepriekšējā pieredze. Tagad mēs vienkārši viņu tā kā spin-offu, juridiski izvelkam ārā no tā mūsu pamatbiznesa, vienkārši, lai tas būtu pareizi no venture capital viedokļa. Ja. Lai nemiksētu kopā ar mūsu, to biznesa sadaļu. Ja.
Okay, bet so tas 3D engineering ir, kā tu vari teikt, viens partners priekš HelmX, lai uztaisīja, ka if you need digital oil field, then if you buy HelmX, then you have the opportunity to utilize 3D engineering proprietary software to create. Okay.
Jā, tāds tas plāns.
Bet 3D engineering, tu jau strādā ar BP?
Jā. Okay. Jā. Mēs tirgojam, mums vēsturiski ir tā, mēs tirgojam laserskanēšanas iekārtas, mērīšanas iekārtas, tā ir viena uzņēmums. Otrs uzņēmums mums ir 3D engineering, kas sniedz pakalpojumus, un tad HelmX ir kā spin-offs ar datu infrastruktūru
Okay, so HelmX nogalinās tavu laseru.
Nenogalinās, jo bez tās laserskanēšanas vienalga nevar iztikt, ja? Viņu vienalga ir vajadzīga.
Es nezinu, ja tev ir šis helmets, tad šis čibērs vajadzēja būt labāks nekā tie laseri.
Jā, skatāmies.
Kāpēc tu saki, ka vajadzētu tas laseris turpināties? Es saprastu, ja tev ir lielāks objekts, un tu zini, protams, ar čivaru tu nevar visur tikt, bet šīs dienās, tu zini, ar dronu tu var aplidot visu.
Jā, teiksim tā, jautājums sakot par datiem. Tad, kad mēs sākam ar BP strādāt, tad Tonijs bija ļoti stingrs attiecībā uz datu kvalitāti. Teiksim,
data quality management.
Neviena fotogrametrija, ne drons, ne ķivere nekad neiedos tur 2 mm precizitāti. Ja? Vai tā, ka tu vari redzēt rūsu pilnīgi, ja? Uz teiksim, tā melnbaltos datus. To neviena fotogrametrija šobrīd nevar izdarīt. Ja? Un tā kā pirmo reizi to asetu vienalga vajag ieskanēt. Pēc tam mēs varam updateot šos datus. Ja? Un tad tā vietā, lai sūtītu tagad komandu offshore, ja, mēs varam to pašu naudu vienkārši paprasīt par subscriptionu. Ja? Pa lielam mēs neko nezaudējam, bet mēs iegūstam iespēju upsailot. Ja? Okay.
Un tas, ko es saku, ka tev ir tās partneru iespējas tālāk. Čivers, kā tu rakst arī, pitch deck, tas ir 200 eiro, tas ir gabalā jau $200, un tad ir 200 par vienreiz. Tas neizklausās īsumā kā tas īstais biznesa plāns.
Tas ir vienkārši, tā vairākas tās pitch versijas, ja, un tad skaidrs, ka tas biznesa modelis, viņš ir daudz sarežģītāks. Ja? Bet ielikt iekšā vienkārši tagad pitch deckā, tur, Aveva grade biznesa modeli, ja? Tur neviens nesapratīs neko. Ja? Tā. Skaidrs, ka idejas no sās, kas tavu biznesa plāns. Pēc idejas mēs labprāt to ķiveru gandrīz pavēlti atdotu. Ja? Ja, mums nav mūsu biznesa pelnīt no hardware. Tas true value ir tieši datos. Ja, tad idejas, ka ķiveri mēs atdodam pa kaut kādu tādu cenu, tuvu pašizmaksai, vienkārši, lai viņas ir objektā. Un tad sākās, mēs ņemam maintenance cost, vienkārši par sistēmas uzturēšanu, nelielu naudiņu, un tad ir dažādi data processing moduļi, digital twin viena pakete, asset integrity otra pakete, productivity reports trešā pakete. Un tad skatīsimies, protams, kas varbūt mums vēl kaut kas pienāk klāt no šiem data processing moduļiem, kas var klientam būt, kas var klientam pienest šo value.
Vai tad tas viss ir ietvaros no HelmX?
Jā.
Ja tev ir digital twin un tev ir konkurenta firma ar 3D engineering, kā HelmX, kā
tas, ko es redzu šobrīd tirgu, ja? Mēs teiksim, Qatar Energies. Viņi nav veikuši...
Pazīst labi, es dzīvoju tur 3 gadus.
Viņi nekad nav veikuši tādu proper document version control.
Jā.
Kur ir problēma? Problēma ir, ka tev 5. versija vienā departamentā, 7. versija otrā departamentā, neviens nezina, kur ir pēdējā. Tātad tagad, lai savestu viņu dokumentu sistēmas kārtībā, pirmais ir reality capture and gap analysis. Kvalitatīvs reality capture ir tikai laserskenēšana. Pirmais mēs uztaisam laserskenēšanu, viņiem ir pirmais datu sets, un tad mēs sakam, tagad, lai jums tas datu sets visu laiku būtu atjaunots, kur ir ķiveres. Kā next step. Tā kā pirmais step vienalga ir reality capture un šobrīd laser.
Es saprotu tā turpināšana, bet kā investors iekš HelmX, kā tas revenue stream for the benefit of the investors iekš HelmX from the laser scanning?
Okay, so
the idea the laser scanning will be wrapped up into HelmX eventually.
I see it as a complementary. We complement each other. And as a digital twin company, we have stronger positioning if we come and say, hey, we will not just do you the 3D scanning and intelligent model, but there's also technology, which is our sister company, that provides something unique that no one else provides. And it makes, or let's say if we don't have experience in digital twin and we just go with the HelmX and we start to tell everyone that how great is the helmet and all the data processing models, they have gap, or we can feel resistance between, the this laser scanning and etc. Once we are like as a sister companies, it brings a much stronger positioning for both of the companies. And at least that's how I see it. Maybe I am wrong, but from what
I see the complementary aspect of it. Yeah. However, I see the value not in the hardware, which is the helmet. I see the value on the data side.
Yes.
But I don't see that. I'm just a bit confused as to if you're an investor into the helmet, how do you get the benefits financially from the data side?
Okay, it's very simple. Subscription. The same way. The benchmark, basically the benchmark is like BP pays like 40 or 50,000 for the Cinto, just one tool. Like 40 to 50,000 per one asset. It's like
yeah,
like an industry standard, like a mile. So I see that there are like two ways how we charge the client. The way number one, we take payment, we take subscription for the asset. One asset equals the digital twin update, and then we decide like how many helmets do we need to get the correct data. The same goes for asset integrity. We charge for an asset. When it comes to the productivity, we charge per the head count, right? And like, let's say if there's a client who has a 45,000 employees, and we can charge even $40-50 per one employee. And if that increases the productivity, then it's a good business, especially with the companies with thousands of employees. And of course, we need to still prove the case. We need to go to the pilots and see all the results and like have these case studies. But like the gut feeling tells me that there is no other way. At least if you as a manager of the company can actually see the data, like, hey, we have problems in this small team because their productivity started to go down. That's like an indicator for each the manager. Okay, I need to look into it. Maybe they have internal fight. Maybe someone has like a big problem.
Yeah.
At least it gives you an indicators that somewhere something goes wrong, and all the managers can quickly react on that. Because sometimes you don't see the problem immediately. You see it like long after the problem is far too long. And once you see the trends, then it gives a super useful data for the management.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, I think you need to run some of these pilots and then see what the revenue model is. Yeah. Just 40 or 50 euros. Is that per month or per year?
No, per month. That would be for the headcount, and then for asset. Of course, we still depending like the asset size. There are like double platinum terminals, and there are the refineries. Of course, depending on the asset side, we would change. But the benchmark, what I see, the benchmark in industry is like from 40 to 50,000 per asset. That's like what other companies are charging, and that's, I think, the psychologically it's easy to accept that number. Yeah, that's.
Well, no, but I think that's what you need to go ahead and demonstrate is that, okay, today you're paying 40,000 per asset, on an annual basis. We can make it 10,000, and people will react to that, 30,000 reduction. If you try to go after the 40,000, they'll be like, well, it's too much of a change, too much of a hassle. Okay, maybe in the long run there's a benefit, but it's just easier to stay as is. So just consider the business.
Yeah, definitely. That's something we definitely need to test. But at the moment, these are our assumptions. We will talk, we will discuss with the departments, and then we will have this feedback, and then I'm pretty sure we will come to some model. But in general, what looking in the market, I found the studies that there are like 400 million helmets sold every year, and in general, if we're like thinking, then basically everywhere where you wear the helmet, there are some useful data that can be collected and that can bring value.
Yeah.
Like surveyors, the guys I talked to in one trade show with the surveyors, they said, "Hey, I am in the field with the GNSS, and it would be really cool if I can, press the button and take the 360-degree picture at the moment, because when I go back in the office, it would really help me to process the data."
Yeah.
Another company, also inspectors, they are serving the telecom towers. He says, if I could have like a 360 helmet, let's say with the voice control, I go up on the tower and then I say, "Hey, take a picture or start record the video or stop recording video." Then I go back in the office, and that would really help me to do the engineering work I need to do, because then I have my visual data. So, or construction. Today we have in construction, there's a BIM, building information modeling, and many countries they are pushing construction industry to work in BIM, but the problem is that construction is going faster than you can actually update your model. And then the construction companies, they're like, "Oh, this BIM, we like, okay, just let's do it, just the check mark that, and that's it." And then there is the gap, because it can really bring the value, but you cannot update data so quickly, then you actually go with the construction. And then if for the second we imagine that every single construction worker has the helmet, you are a general contractor, your subcontractor will always come back with excuses, and he will never tell you the truth about the real volumes.
Castrating's in it.
Yes. Yes. So now, today with AI, we can capture and say, this subcontractor did 500 square meters of the wall, or he did this and that. And he will never come to you and say, "Oh, there was 350. He will come to you and say there was 600. But now you know the truth. And it can like really automate also the construction digitalization. And like I see so many ways to bring value. Of course, we started oil and gas because we already are working there. We have, it started from there,
Kā es saku, es domāju, tā grūtā lieta oil and gas ir, tev jādabūna tas ATEX, un tas kāpēc, to go to market, varbūt tev jādara, rūpniecības firmas, jeb noliktavas.
Jā, tāds plāns arī ir, ka mēs pirmos klientus mēs vienkārši paņemam, teiksim, šajās lielajās, rūpniecības uzņēmumos. Tikko mums ir ATEX, tā viss mēs varam, bet, realitāte ir tā, ka ar to pašu BP, piemēram, tā pati lāzerskenēšana, jā. Tirgu ir tikai viens ATEX certificēts lāzerskeners, un tas ir ZF. Bet realitātē strādā ar Leico RTC 360, Faro, citiem skaneriem. Jā, viņi nav ATEX certificēti, ok, tu nemaini bateriju fieldā, bet maini bateriju tur changing roomā, ja. Tā kā, no vienas it kā jā, bet realitāte ir tā, ka nevienmēr ir tā prasība ir tik strikta. Ja? Tā kā mēs noteikti varam sākt ar pilotu projektu, ar reālu pilotu projektu, bez ATEX certifikācijas. Mums tur terminālā taču ļaus to darīt. Ja? Un mēs Lībijā tas pats. Ja? Tur skaidrs, ka viņiem nav šīs drošības prasības tādā līmenī, kā tur tas būtu Adnokā vai tur Saudi Aramco.
Jā, bet tu arī negribi zināt, kad tavs čivērs ir vainīgs pie kaut kāda eksplozijas. So tas ir dabūt to ATEX for, live hydrocarbon production. So, ļoti interesanti. Es zinu, mēs esam paņēmuši daudz ilgāku laiku nekā kā bija domāts, bet bija jauki iepazīsties. Un es parunāšu ar Mariju arī ar to, bet es domāju, ka šis ir tiešām interesanti un laba iespēja atrisināt, kas ir konkrēti problēmas mūsu industrijas jomā. So.
Super. Arī prieks iepazīties noteikti esam. Es būtu, priecīgs, varbūt mēs, kad brauksim uz Lībiju, mums būs tad pilotprojekts, un pēc tam mēs plānojam tad lielu demonstrāciju. Ja nu varbūt, es vienkārši nezinu no Total Energies puses, vai jau ir tur operations sākti vai nav.
Tur ir jau, mums ir operācijas tur. Tu dari šo caur Libyan National Oil Company?
Jā.
Okay.
Bet tur ir...
es ar viņiem parunāties, lai pasaka, lai ielūdz viss cits operators.
Mēs taisam tur tāds kompanijas Zeutina, un viņi ir operators, kas pieder National Oil Corporation.
Okay.
Un viņu objektos mēs taisam pilotu, un tad viņu direktors bija agrāk NOC tur valdē. Tad teikt. Un tā kā, viņš visus ielūks, bet, tad vienkārši reizēm ir tā, ka, tur kāds kaut ko ielūdz, bet, tad, ja kā teikt, ja tā ir kāds no malas, kas vēl pasaka, uz to pasākumu būtu forši aiziet, tad es būtu pateicīgs.
Es labprāt, es varu paziņot tālāk, kad ir tas laiks to darīt.
Jā, tad mēs tur būs tāda liela smuka demonstrācija, tur mēs tā parādītu visas tās digital twin iespējas un ķivers iespējas. Tā, tas būtu tāds varbūt. Jā, forši. Bija prieks iepazīties visādā ziņā.
Tāpatās, un lai veicās.
Jā.
Un es nezinu, varbūt šovasar es būšu atkal Rīgā, tad varbūt varam satikties.
Es gan dzīvoju Spānijā, Alicantē.
Spānijā, jā. Tur siltāks laiks.
Jā, mēs tur dēļ klimata varbūt. Bet, Rīgā ir birojas, es arī Rīgā mēdz būt. Tā kā, ja mēdz būt gadīties Spānijā kaut kur pie Alicantes, tad droši var atbraukt ciemos. Mums tur tādi...
Labi, tu vari noplūkt apelsīns.
Jā, tas gan, jā. Tas gan.
Super.
Super.
Labi, lai veicās.
Jā, sarunāts. Tiekamies. Tā.